Welcome to day 6 of my 1 week sketchbook project. I didn't think I would actually make it this far. Today, I decided to go out sketching with friends at our favorite third space. So I'm packing up my little to-go studio pouch. This is the Sula studio pouch they sent me late last year. I have a couple videos on it. You can watch if you want. It carries everything, and I really like it. This pouch I just keep packed up with my favorite art supplies all the time, and I have been taking it with me anytime I leave the house. I usually leave it in my car, and if I end up waiting for any reason, I can pull out my art stuff and draw. So I'm really enjoying it a lot. I refilled the ink on my fountain pens. This is the Niblet from Esterbrook. It is currently my favorite illustration tool of choice. If you're curious, I have the fine point nib from Esterbrook on that pen. And then I've also been illustrating with the Esterbrook SD. This is their Sweet Dreams colorway. And I have the medium nib from Esterbrook in here. And if you've seen any of my ink illustration videos or shorts, these are the two pens that you're probably seeing me illustrate with. I'm really in love with them, and they've actually changed my relationship with ink illustration entirely, which is really cool, and I could make a whole other video on. I have definitely spent time drooling over beautiful pens in stationery stores before, and I am so happy that I have these two pens in my arsenal now, thanks to Esterbrook. I received these Copic markers from Copic a couple of months ago. It was like a holiday gift. Thanks for working with us, et cetera, et cetera. And they sent this little case. And I didn't want to take the whole case. I wanted to just pick enough markers to also fit into my little go bag. And I love illustrating in grayscale with alcohol ink. I think grayscale is my favorite thing to do with alcohol ink. So I grabbed those and then this beautiful coral color. And I was way too busy on day 5 to film anything, to share anything with you. But in my wrap-up video later this week, I will show you how I experimented with my Copic markers too. Last of all, I decided to switch out my watercolor palette that I keep in my Go pouch. I had the Classics palette from Art Philosophy, and I switched it out for the Tropicals. The Tropicals really is my favorite palette, but I was challenging myself to work with classic colors and mix from the primary colors a lot, so that's why I had that one in there for so long. Now that I'm all packed up, I get to put everything in my big Sula pouch. This is not a sponsored video. I'm just a big fan of these bags. I just love the way that they're made for artists to take supplies places. So I took my Artix acrylic markers that I purchased for me and my kids for this project this week. And that whole box of markers fit in the bag along with my entire Go pouch. I still had room for snacks. And then let's talk about this. This is the Color Cube from Sarah Renee Clark. I don't actually have a full art education. And one of the things that I have always wanted to understand more of is color theory. And my kids are also really big into illustration and digital art. And so I purchased these a couple of years ago. The Color Cube is basically a massive library of cards with colors pulled from images. There are the color codes if you're illustrating in Procreate or other programs. It's just a great reference for color palettes, and there's also so many different images that I could draw from. Since I wasn't going to be in my studio and I was bringing my acrylic colorful markers, I thought it would be fun to use the two together. I have been practicing illustrating from life and plein air, and that's actually one of my goals for 2026 is to actually go out into the world and sit on benches and sketch in public. But for this today, grabbing those little reference pictures felt good. And then I put my rainbow pens in these pockets just for the aesthetic. And then after I made my bird do a few laps around the house, I headed out to my favorite third space. My friend has been hosting To-Do Tuesdays there. On To-Do Tuesdays, you get to set a goal when you arrive, and if you complete it by the time that you leave, she will smack a good job sticker on your goal sheet, and then you get to pick a prize from her treasure box. She started this because she loved giving her students stickers when she was a teacher, and now that she's not teaching and writing a book instead, she started hosting this day at the third space. And my friend showed me how to set these markers up like this. She said, "Tell everyone I'm a genius," and I didn't see it on TikTok. So I sat with my friends. They explained some more D&D terminology to me since I'm learning how to be a dungeon master, and I just started to create. I started with this image from the color block, and I ended up hating it. But that is okay because I loved the color palette and now I have it as a reference in this sketchbook that I can pull from later, and it was a good warm up. And it's important to remember that in a sketchbook, not every single piece of art, not every single page has to be a masterpiece. Sketchbooks exist to work out ideas, to keep records that you can reference later. And there's a lot more purposes than just being beautiful and magnificent all the time. But the important thing here is that I finished my 6 pages and I got a sticker and then I got to choose a prize from the treasure box. Okay, this is why I drove across town. It was silly and I spent time with my friends, but man, did I love going through this treasure box. There was stickers, there was little stress balls, all kinds of silly things in there. And it was Two Sticker Tuesday, so I picked a pickle sticker and I found an iPod, and I love them both, and they have magical sparkle vinyl. And the best part about this is that I really wanted to put something on the cover of my sketchbook, but I decided it needed to be something that I came across during the same week as the project, whether I got a sticker from a coffee shop or whatever it was. And so I won them as prizes, and they go with the week, which I love. So here it is. I get to show you what I made. Look how satisfying my tiny book is becoming a chunk. You are going to have to wait to see the images from day 5 until I do my final wrap up. But here we are, day 6. This image I did not love. I did not enjoy making it, but whatever. This image, I was practicing specifically on going faster with these acrylic pens. And I had taken way too long with those first 2 drawings. And so I was like, what do I do that can go faster? And my friend was drawing a gemstone. And so I looked up pictures of uncut gems and I started illustrating those. And then from there, I did some cartoony versions that I still want to add a little bit of something to, which I'll have to do today. This one, I wanted to make a drawing that looked like a sticker sheet, and my friends were shouting out D&D things that I could draw. After I left, I was parked on the street for a little while, and so I did a sketch while I was waiting there. And after school, we stopped at Hawaiian Bros because my kids were starving and I wanted a spam musubi, and I drew this flower. And then the ink flower I actually drew later after I got home. I did some journaling because I needed to keep note of how I felt differently illustrating hanging out with my friends than I did while in my studio alone. After that, I think I unlocked something because I started drawing onions, and I decided that onions, as they're my favorite vegetable, but they might be my favorite art subject. There's just so many textures and shades of things, and I'm definitely going to go on an onion kick, and I'm going to make a lot more onion art. Day 6 of January 2026 is when my career became onions. And then I drew a really beautiful ramen and I ruined it by drawing a super ugly noodle. And so then I wrote notes all over the page to try to save myself. And then I drew some bok choy, which turned into a street art thing. That was interesting. I enjoyed coloring in those words with my little rainbow pens. And then from there, I got into the street art vibe. And so I made a day 6, and I realized that I have been learning about colors this week while I've been working with these acrylic markers, because choosing those colors felt really natural and I liked the outcome. Do not look at the letter R in my name here because I don't know what happened to her. And that was where I finished off the night. I did a little bit more journaling because I had a lot of conflicting feelings about my art experience on day 6. I wrote, let's talk about the things I have found to be funny throughout this project. It is that everything about this goes against what I have been purposefully working towards in the last few months of illustration practice. In my everyday sketchbook, I have been focusing on slowing down, really paying attention to detail and drawing what I actually see. I've been teaching myself to slow down, and then I challenged myself basically to speed draw. Okay, bye. See you on day 7.